Okay, now we're going to move into a little more advanced setup within the platform. So let's say you've been leaving voicemails and you obviously don't want to have to leave a voicemail every single time, especially if you're on the same call campaign. You have the ability to record a voicemail, upload it, and then use it when you're on a call. You can select that voicemail and quickly drop it without having to, leave the actual voicemail yourself every time. So to do that, you're going to go over here under controls, you're going to click on settings, and you're going to click on voice. And so the VoIP line by default, I have the 640 number. So why don't we just go ahead and use that line. So when you go into your VoIP line, so this only works inside VoIP type, right? So call forwarding lines, it's not going to work because you can't make outbound calls with that. So inside your VoIP line type, you have this section over here. Now the previous video I talked about all this and all these settings, and I mentioned this side. This controls two things. One, you can use it for one of your drops, right? So single voicemail drops. So if you're on the call and voicemail picks up, but you can also use it to send a pre-recorded message out to a machine for voicemail drops in bulk action. So I have a video to follow to cover that. For this is just single one-off when you're in the middle of a call, how to drop a voicemail. So to do that, click on the upload new recording. So this must be MP3 or WAV. If you're doing, Microsoft's Recorder, the M4A, you can just search online for a conversion tool. It's really, there's tons of free ones and it's really simple to do. So make sure you convert it into WAV or MP3. It will not work. In addition to that, make sure when you upload your file names that there's no spaces or dashes. So in this case, I had a space, so I removed the space and did an underscore. So it's important that you do not have any spaces, the conversion of the percentage sign, just the conversion that the browser does. You're going to have issues with the recording being cut off and things like that, or it just won't play in some cases. So, depending on the carrier. So make sure there's no spaces. Make sure it's saved just, how you would do it without any spaces or dashes. Make sure it's an MP3. Make sure it's a WAV. So once you upload, you click the upload button, go find it on your desktop or wherever. This will then show up here inside your section in your folder. Go ahead and select it, hit choose, and that's going to add an entry here over here, right? So now I have an 8 seconds voicemail. You can listen to it, make sure it's good. So what's important is you want to include the enabled icon. Default single drop. This is if you want to make this your default for it. Matter of fact, if you want to have multiple, just make sure they're enabled here and they'll still show up. So at this point you have your entry here, so you can actually use this not only for a voicemail drop to multiple parties, but also what we're trying to do in this video, which places a single phone call and select our voicemail drop and leave that within that call. Here you can delete it, but again, you can add as many as you want here and manage them. If you make a mistake on the file type or whatever, just delete it and re-upload it and change it from there. So now that's set, I can go into my lead. So let me go into my lead real quick. And I'm going to place a phone call and I'll show you what happens. So when you first place your phone call out to your lead, you're not going to see this drop down. It's until they pick up the phone. And the idea is, let's say you're making a phone call and now the machine picks up. Or it's ringing and then the machine picks up. That's when you're going to have the option of selecting that voicemail drop. But you're not going to want to select that until you hear the beep. Because as soon as you select it, that's going to drop the voicemail and hang up your call, log the call, and you don't have to do anything. You don't have to actually hang up the call. I'll do it for you. So in this case, I'm going to dial out. And so you'll see as soon as it gets connected, you're going to see this icon here. So go ahead and select that icon. And now you have a drop down here and you can select that. Now if you had the default single drop selected, you won't have this drop down. You just hit voicemail and it automatically drops. It's just for saving time, so you don't have to select it each time. I usually leave it on, so I know I leave it off, so I know which voicemail I'm selecting every single time. And you'll see you want to name it something, right? So you know what it is. And in this case, I'm just going to select it. Boom, hangs up the call. Voicemail is dropped. And you're good to go. So that voicemail has been left and you can move on to the next record. So it's pretty simple.